You know how it goes, right? OpenAI drops a new model, the internet goes crazy for a couple of days, and then we all just kind of move on. Well, this time is different, fundamentally different. OpenAI just launched a model that doesn't try to be a jack of all trades. It does one specific thing, and it does it incredibly well. It's called GPT-Rosalind. And listen, if you aren't paying attention to what this means for the future of AI, you are missing a massive, massive shift.
So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what this thing is, how it's already outperforming human experts, and why this signals a huge turning point, not just for healthcare, but for every single industry out there. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first things first, what is GPT-Rosalind? Well, it was announced back on April 16, 2026, and its name is a nod to Rosalind Franklin, the incredible scientist whose work was so critical for figuring out the structure of DNA. And trust me, that name is no accident. This model is built from the very ground up, specifically for biology, genomics, and drug discovery.
And this gets us to a really key concept. Rosalind is what's called a vertical model. It's actually OpenAI's first one ever. So instead of being a generalist AI like GPT-5, this thing is purpose-built and laser-focused on just one single industry, the life sciences.
Okay, here's a great way to think about it. Imagine GPT-5 is your family doctor, right? They know a little bit about everything. Rosalind is the world-class specialist they send you to, the one who's dedicated their entire career to understanding one super complex field. That's the difference we're talking about.
So you're probably wondering, how can I try this thing out? Well, for now, you can't just go and sign up. Access is completely locked down behind something OpenAI is calling a Trusted Access Program. That means only super-vetted US labs and big pharma companies, we're talking Moderna, Amgen, that whole crew, can get their hands on it. And get this, during this preview phase, it's totally free, which lets OpenAI get all that crucial feedback.
Okay, but what can it actually do? This is where it gets really, really cool. Rosalind isn't just some glorified search engine for biology papers. No way. It's performing these complex, multi-step reasoning tasks that are just like what a real research assistant would do.
And the secret sauce here? It's a new open-source plugin. It connects Rosalind to over 50 of the most essential biomedical data sources out there. I mean, PubMed for all the scientific papers, GeneBank for gene sequences, the protein data bank, you name it. It can pull from and make sense of all of them, all in real time.
So OpenAI is already showing off 3 huge use cases. First, speeding up drug discovery by finding the most promising targets. Second, suggesting totally new protein designs for treatments. And third, and this one is wild, it can plan out entire lab experiments from start to finish.
Let's just double-click on that last one for a second. A chemist can literally describe a chemical reaction that's not working well. Rosalind then just goes off on its own, dives into patents and papers, analyzes everything it can find about similar reactions, and comes back with a fully optimized plan. It's not just finding information, it is applying it. Huge difference.
All right, I know what you're thinking. The claims sound big, right? But does the performance actually back it up? Well, this is where the story gets really compelling, because the data we have, it suggests this is not just hype.
So take the BioXBench benchmark. It's super respected and tests an AI on really tough bioinformatics tasks. Rosalind scored a 75.1% pass rate. Now the key here isn't just that the score is good, it's that it's the highest published score from any AI model, period. And it doesn't stop there. On another benchmark called LabBench 2, which simulates these really complex multi-step lab workflows, it blew past even GPT 5.4, especially on tasks like designing a DNA cloning protocol from scratch.
But here's the number that just makes your jaw drop. In a test run by a gene therapy company, they had it do an RNA sequence prediction task. Rosalind's best answers scored above the 95th percentile of human experts who took the exact same test. Just let that sink in for a minute. Its best shot was better than 95% of the human specialists.
To put that in context, a lot of you have probably heard of DeepMind's AlphaFold, right? It was absolutely revolutionary for predicting protein structures. But here's the thing, AlphaFold does that one thing really well. Rosalind is a much, much broader tool. It can analyze the literature, it can plan the experiments, and it can design the proteins. It's a whole different level. To all of this incredible performance, it brings us to the bigger picture here. GPT-Rosalind isn't just a story about biology, it's a story about AI strategy. See, this release signals a massive shift. The easy wins from just making general-purpose models bigger and bigger are getting harder to find. The new frontier? It's all about specialization.
And this quote just nails it. The whole idea that one giant general-purpose AI can be the best at everything, that era is coming to an end. The future, it really does seem, is specialized. The future is vertical.
So if this whole specialist approach works for life sciences, what's next? I mean, you can just imagine it, right? Purpose-built models for finance, for manufacturing, for legal analysis. Suddenly, every complex industry out there is a potential target for its very own vertical AI.
So how'd they even build this thing? What's the secret sauce? Well, they started with the super powerful GPT-5 architecture. Then, they fine-tuned it on just massive amounts of biomedical data. But the real magic, the part that makes it so smart, came from paying actual scientific experts to give it feedback, teaching the model how to reason about science correctly. And then they hooked it up to all those real-world lab tools.
And let's be clear, this was a massive, massive bet. The estimated cost to develop this thing is somewhere between $70 and $140 million. Yeah, this was not a side project. This was a major strategic investment by OpenAI, all to prove that this vertical AI model is the way to go. Of course, with this kind of power comes, you guessed it, immense responsibility. So let's talk about the road ahead. What safety measures are in place, what the current limitations are, and the competitive landscape, which is already starting to heat up.
Now, OpenAI has been pretty careful here. That whole trusted access program is their first line of defense. And they've built in these super high-precision flags to try and catch any queries that might be related to biothreats. But at the end of the day, it's still a large language model. It can hallucinate. It can just make stuff up. That means every single thing it outputs has to be double and triple checked by a human scientist. It's a brilliant assistant, but it is not an oracle.
And they're not the only ones playing in this sandbox. Anthropic is already pushing its general model Claude for life sciences, and Google has a whole portfolio of specialized tools like AlphaFold. But OpenAI is really the first to go all in with a dedicated, fully integrated vertical model quite like this.
But look, when you boil it all down, the crucial point is this. The partnerships are serious, the benchmarks are absolutely stunning, but the only number that really truly matters is whether this tool can actually help scientists discover a new drug faster. That's it. That's the ultimate test of success. And that leaves us with one final and pretty important question. Is GPT-Rosalind a tool that's going to accelerate science for the benefit of all of us, or is it the first step in creating a brand new kind of monopoly where the most powerful AI for an entire industry is controlled by just one company? The answer to that question is going to shape the next decade of technology.